So Stephen Harper made a campaign announcement that he plans to make it illegal for Canadians to travel to terrorist-controlled parts of the world, like the Islamic State, which controls a vast swath of Syria and Iraq. Here's a clip.
A re-elected Conservative government will designate travel to places that are ground zero for terrorist activity a criminal offense.
So obviously you can still go there for legitimate reasons, journalism, foreign aid, whatever, but not to be a terrorist. This is a real issue, by the way. More than 100 Canadians have in fact gone to fight with the Islamic State, like this thug.
This is a message to Canada and all the American Tawaghit. We are coming and we will destroy you.
Of course, we've had terrorism here in Canada too, from the attack on Parliament to foiled plots on Via Rail and the Toronto 18 conspiracy. Making this terror tourism illegal is pretty uncontroversial in the eyes of normal people. I mean, our allies are passing similar laws. Australia is doing this exact thing. The UK is looking at banning terror tourists from returning home for 2 years. That seems like a half measure, though. I mean, what's an extra 2 years abroad going to do to a terrorist other than add 2 more years of combat experience and training and connections to the other thugs? Now, in practice, it can be pretty tough to stop someone from going over there unless you know their plans in advance. So a lot of this is just about stopping terrorists from coming home. Who on earth could be against that? Well, I know who. Justin Trudeau. I'm not even kidding. He said that stopping would-be terrorists from traveling to the Islamic State is a violation of their human rights. I am not kidding. Take a look.
Canada is a country that protects people's rights, and any time a government wants to limit those rights, it needs to answer a lot more questions than Mr. Harper actually answered this morning.
Hang on, there's a human right to go join a terrorist group? That's crazy. Trudeau has no idea what the word human right means. And he has no idea what it means to be Prime Minister, whose paramount duty is the protection of our sovereign country against attacks from groups like the Islamic State. Here's Pierre Trudeau, a man I don't agree with much, who brought in martial law to deal with terrorists in his day, the FLQ, who had kidnapped a man and murdered another. Listen to the media of his day, just like our media today, whining that Trudeau called the FLQ bandits. They were seriously mad about that. The FLQ were murderers and terrorists, and the media whined about him calling them bandits. Listen to the difference between Pierre Trudeau, the father, and Justin Trudeau, the spoiled trust fund kid. Take a look.
That perhaps it is would be wise to use less inflammatory terms than bandits when you talk of a bunch of people who have the lives of 2 men in their hands.
You don't think they're bandits?
Well, regardless of what I don't think I'd be inclined to wave a red flag in their face if they held 2 of my friends or colleagues with guns at their heads.
Well, first of all, I didn't call them bandits. I call the people who were in jail now bandits, who had been tried before the law and condemned to a prison term. And I said that you people should stop calling them political prisoners. They're not political prisoners. They're outlaws. They're criminal prisoners. They're not political prisoners. And they're bandits. That's why they're in jail.
But with your army troops, you seem to be combating them as almost as though it is a war. And if it is a war, is anything that they say have validity?
Don't be silly. There's a lot of bleeding hearts around who just don't like to see people with helmets and guns. All I can say is go on and bleed. But it's more important to keep law and order in this society than to be worried about weak-kneed people who don't like the looks of a soldier.
At any cost?
I think martial law was an excess. Stephen Harper didn't put all of Canada under martial law last fall when 2 Canadian soldiers were murdered by terrorists. Harper values civil liberties more than Pierre Trudeau did. But if I had to choose between Pierre Trudeau's approach of soldiers in the streets and Justin Trudeau's approach of guaranteeing terrorists the human right to travel to the Islamic State, it's no contest. A human right to travel to the Islamic State. Maybe they should get a government grant too? The Conservatives keep saying Trudeau just isn't ready to be Prime Minister. It's like he's trying to prove them right every day. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.